welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to go from this to this. So I just had a little bit of a play and this is just like a gradated effect that I have done. Used shimmers in my crease, not my crease, sorry, on my lids, and mattes above my crease, and just a bit of fun really. So if you like it, please continue watching. Use whatever you have at home. Please do your makeup along with me. I'd love to see what you create. But yeah, here we go. So first things first, for me, I always sanitize my hands before I do my makeup, just so I'm not transferring anything from here onto here, because the last thing I want is more of these. And then I do my skin prep. So everyone's skin prep is actually different. I've never really talked about this before because I assume you guys will know your own skin. But basically, I get kind of dry skin on my cheeks. I occasionally get dry skin on my forehead, but actually right now my T-zone is quite oily. And I get dry skin literally on my chin, which is really strange. So it's almost as though like a mask. Obviously wearing face mask is changing that quite a bit. I'm finding that I'm getting more oily down here because of the heat. I'm not really enjoying it as like a lifestyle choice, but obviously we are where we are and we have to do what we have to do to get through this. So like, yeah, mask knee, I think is what they're calling it, like when you're breaking it, wearing it. So you need to sort of tailor your skincare to kind of take that into account. Any heavy moisturizers that you're doing, I would save them only for nighttime. Sleepy masks are going to be your best friend. But in the main, make sure you are tailoring your skin prep to your skin. So I won't put a moisturizer all over my face because my forehead is just going to gleam, and that's not a look. I mean, it might be a look. It's not my look. So I would always put more moisturizer or thicker moisturizer here. I always put, obviously for the sensitive eye area, I have specific creams and gels that I will use in my eye contour, and then I actually use a completely different product and toner now for my forehead and for my nose, in the same way that you wouldn't put the same stuff like on your neck or the same stuff on your arm. Like every area of your face actually might have different needs. But yeah, back to the point. I feel like I lost my breath there. I am starting with this primer. This is my favorite primer. I might actually just bulk buy it at this point because I've been using my more expensive primers and I think that the result is not as pronounced, which is kind of annoying because I'm like, the more expensive one, you should be able to see this more, but like, look at how that has wiped away the pores on that side of my face. Like, look at the contrast. I mean, please don't judge me, but like, look at the contrast between this cheek and this cheek. It's really pronounced, and it seems to do a little teeny bit of color correcting for me as well. It's not what it says it does, but it does seem to, like, if you can see, take out some of the redness from my skin. I do have a pink undertone in general, and you focus on, you probably know this as well, but you focus on the inside of your face and blend out, because this is the face, obviously the part of the face that you would see the most, and that will obviously be more pronounced in photographs and whatever. And if you wear your hair down, you probably don't even see this section, so like, why are you wasting all your product by starting here and just spreading it in? But yeah, so after you prime the face, obviously you're going to go ahead and choose whichever foundation product is right for you. I'm using this, I'm quite a big fan of it at the moment. It is the Full Coverage Camouflage Foundation from Revolution Pro. The colour doesn't seem to be as much of a match for me at the moment as it was when I first purchased it, which is confusing me slightly, but I've been using a lot of really good exfoliating products, so I'm wondering whether or not it's that. And the purpose of foundation is not to conceal, so it's good if you can get like a good coverage, but you don't need to put on as much product as I do. Like I wear too much foundation, if we're being honest, but I don't know, I feel better. So putting my mental health above all the beauty gurus tips. But yeah, so just going ahead and blending that out. It's the same idea as I'd said a minute ago. Like, really, you do not need anywhere near this much product, but you're starting in the center of your face and starting to blend out. The area that you're going to see most and that people are going to be looking at most is the front of your face. And then if you haven't, like me, put on too much foundation, you would next do your concealer. and just spot conceal. Don't blend it out, just dab it. I prefer to do that with a finger when I'm doing it, and sometimes I use like the brushes that come with it, but more often than not I'll use my finger and just spot conceal any skin concerns that I have. Yeah, so I use this foundation, and probably a bit too much of this foundation, because it really does that for me. It's just laziness at the end of the day. It is really just laziness. Okay, so I actually have my little hand mirror now. I bought this a couple of years ago. I'll try not to cover the camera with it. Bought it a couple of years ago. It's from Urban Decay. That's a lie. It's from Urban Outfitters. They sound similar. Don't at me. And it's heavy. Like, it's literally heavy. So I didn't take it with me when I went to Toronto, and I kind of forgot that I owned it. And then I found it in my drawer, and I was like, cool, I'm gonna use that. But yeah, so I am gonna go and grab the products that I'm gonna be using today to do my marvelous eyelid. Okay, so I've got all of my products at the ready. I'm gonna be using the 10-Hour Brow Sculpt from Bourjois Paris. It is a super cheap pencil that I actually got from Pound World, and I'm literally just doing the under shape of my eye. So I kind of take it from here and to the center point. I'm actually taking it into the brow at that point. Obviously you can brush your hairs up first. I just use my fingernail, which is probably not the best way to do it if you're a pro. And please feel free to at me if you think I'm completely wrong for that. But I then like carve out that shape that I'm looking for, and I do the same on top as well. Obviously you're going slightly out. This is a part where I would start to brush up my brows, but I am not going to right now. Just gonna do it like this because I'm trying to do the shape first. And then this is the point where you would then start to like fill in. I have quite dark brows, and obviously I dye my hair blonde. The issue is if I go for a lighter shade of brown, it's quite often too red for me, or it's actually then lighter than my brow. That's insane, that's far too much. It's lighter than my brows, so you need to just be careful to try and color match. And once you find a product that works, like it's the one thing that I'm like, okay, maybe I'll stick with this. The reason I like pencils is because you can actually go ahead and blur it a little. You don't need to have the same intense all over look. And I like my brows to be like that middle ground between like natural and like too finessed to be natural. So it looks quite intense next to my other brow. I'm going to see how this looks with the two of them out, because I feel like whenever I do something on camera, I do something weird and make it look slightly different than it actually like would usually look. Oh yeah, that's probably about what my brows usually look like. This side is just to go round. It helps you give a better line. It can also act in place of, like, for example, a highlight. I use my finger just to sort of blend this down, because you do want the brighter bit to be at the brow bone. And here you want to be really careful, because the last thing you want is like to get photographs taken and to literally look like a cartoon character, like with drawn out eyes. So you're going to want to blend that down just a little as well. You can get really nice little blending brushes and not just use your hands. I'm big on using my hands as like a tool, especially since like I like to travel a lot. I think a lot of the makeup that I've done, like I've had to learn how to, you know, use your hands to get like a decent enough application, because I can't carry like a full makeup kit everywhere I go. You know, Ryanair would charge a fortune for that. I don't know, I had to at Ryanair, like they're all bad, charging like so much money to take even like baggage on the planes now. I mean, not now, because no one can get any planes now, but like the now that we remember and love. So yeah, so that's just how I do my brows. I just thought it looked so intense at first, but this is definitely how they always look, so maybe I just don't look at them until I'm done. So I am going to be going to the shops today. So I want a look that is extremely wearable, or like, you know, like that kind of subtly glam. And by extremely wearable, I mean that doesn't really narrow it down for me because I just wear whatever I want whenever I want. But I'm going to keep playing with the Boss Mood palette. I did my first video with it yesterday on my camera. This is on my phone, so this one might go up first, but you will definitely be able to tell the difference in the quality in the camera one anyway. And I used Red Carpet, Fired Up, Confidence and Bright Eyes, and it's a very reddy, goldy, it was actually beautiful. Like, kind of proud of myself for being able to do it. But today I'm going to be boring, and I'm going to be using ones over here. So I think I really like the look of Hot Stuff because I just love a shimmer shade. But I'm going to be using Hot to Trot, Play It Cool, I think, and Talk Dirty. So I'll take the little sheet off so you can see what I am looking at. So this here, and then these two shimmer shades here. So I'm not going to be doing a cut crease if I do go ahead with these ones. If I change my mind, which I might just, then I'll probably put one of these for the center of the halo, and that is Light of the Party and Pop Star. But let's do this bit first. It's always useful to kind of have an idea in mind of what you want to do, but then just kind of work with, well, whatever happens, what you feel when you're doing it. I don't know, the light, your mood that day. But I really like drawing out looks in advance, which I guess is something MUAs do. And by that I mean I'm watching Glow Up just now. I'm watching it on BBC iPlayer because I don't really watch terrestrial TV. And besides the fact that they're all brilliant, and I like 100% know that I will never probably be good enough to be a makeup artist, I do think that I'm learning a lot. What was my point? Mojo? I have no idea. I'm so sorry. Anyways, oh, they draw it out. That was my point. They do the whole mood boards, which is actually really cool because that's really similar to what I did when I was starting to study fashion. So I'm like, the similarities are actually really interesting. I mean, interesting enough that I completely lose my point mid-thought, but you know, like, interesting. So I'm still using Sparks Fly, and you might have noticed I've done a bit of a different application. And this is because of Robert Welsh, because I'm mildly obsessed with him. But basically he said, like, when people put this on, sometimes they do it too much like a line, and then they just spend half their life blending, and I feel like that is me. So I'm just trying to do it in a different way. Just to try and see basically if there's a way that I can do it that's easier or better. And I would say that this is already a little blended into my eye, and if I go ahead and take my handy blender brush, which of course I have nearby, I can just try and buff it out a little bit. So you're doing those little circles, do the brow bone. I feel like I'm very repetitive, but if you're ever watching one of these and you only watch the one, it would be useless if I hadn't explained. Yeah, I would say that it's blending out a little better. So maybe I've been a bit harsh on this palette because I do say that this one blends, like, it's more difficult a blending palette for me. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead now and take Play It Cool. And that is the lighter tone. And I'm just going to brush that. So people do this slightly differently. Some people do this first before you blend, so you're blending into the colour. But I like the effect more if I put it over and then blend even it out a little bit. And the reason that I find that it works a little better for me is just because when I'm in, like, I'm just putting it over existing medium tone of like the colour it's going into. But I don't know, I mean, I think it's a good blend. You can tell me I'm wrong. It's what the comment section's for, kids. So I've definitely leaned more towards this just now, but what I could do if I wanted to convert this rather than doing like a cut crease or just applying colour directly is I could go ahead and do the triangles from here and then just put cut crease canvas and down the centre. I think what I'm going to do is different from everything that I said. I think what I want to do is actually build a lighter colour close to my lash line and then build up. So it's almost just like graduating from the centre of my eye, just like right here. So I'm going to go ahead and try that and see how I feel about it. Because, you know, it's makeup, it washes off. That's what Bailey Sarian says, and I love her. So I'm going to go ahead and like steal her whole entire vibe. So with setting spray, I always do this. I never, if I skip this step, I always regret my life. And you're just literally taking the brush that you're going to use, you want the bright color on, and you're going to go ahead and spray. And I do both sides. You probably don't need to do 2 sprays, like I think I'm just extra, but it just works better for me. And to be honest, I've got so much setting spray that it's not even wasteful. Like, it will be wasteful if I let it all expire. So I am going to start with the later of the 2 shimmers, which is the Hot Stuff. And I'm just dragging my brush the side of it, which means probably that I could have used a different brush, but I'm just dragging the side of it so that I can take it, and I'm putting that literally in a semicircle above the center of my eye. And I'm going to need to build a wee bit more than that, so I'm going to take a bit more of a normal amount. I feel like because lashes are so big that I might need to do this slightly bigger and pull it out slightly more, just so you can get the effect. Because that's the thing, is like, obviously if you're going to be wearing lashes with a look, like having really fine lines, they just don't show up as well. Okay, so I'm feeling that, and I'm going to go ahead and grab Hot to Trot, which is the other shimmer shade that I said that I would be working with, and I'm taking that literally in my natural crease. Obviously when I do cut creases I go up quite a bit higher, but I'm just taking that in my natural crease just now. I try not to drag it too much, but I'm digging this metallic-y vibe. Okay, so that color is actually kind of gorgeous, but a lot deeper than I would normally use. And like I said, so I've just kept that where, yeah, I've just kept that in my natural crease, and I'm actually going to take my pigment packing brush again and put a little bit more of Sparks Fly just where that is meeting. So I don't want to go over the metallic-y shade, but I just want to strengthen this line here, and I don't want to ruin my blend. Come on. I just really wanted to add some definition to the matte shade rather than leaving it quite wishy-washy. Like I want to see it. Like I want to feel the impact of the color. I don't know where you would wear this. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna wear something like low-key glam. I'm gonna Home Bargains, and then look at me. Low-key. Super low-key. No one will even see me coming. I'm gonna go ahead and take Sparks Fly underneath the eye now. You do not need to use a brush this thick. It depends what kind of look you're going to go for. I'm going to smoke it out just a little. Because my eyes are a hazily brown, and my eyes change color, I can just kind of, can you see? So right now, they're basically, my point is that they're looking kind of dark. They do change from like a blue to a brownie to a greeny. But what I want to avoid, because they can go quite browny and hazily, is to take the brown right under, because it's just going to immediately close off my eye. So what I want is, same as up here, like a semicircle to sort of widen of a lighter shade. I'm going to stick with my mattes in this case. So the one that I'm using is Play It Cool. And I'm just going to do that here. You're still looking quite dark. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't look too small now if you're comparing the two eyes, but once I've got everything done, it does just really close your eyes off. So I'm going to do something I don't always, and I'm going to put Hot Stuff just to give a little bit of shimmer. Here's my little mirror. Right here. And that might have more of an impact in person, but for me, that's already opened up my eye just a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and make these guys friends, and I will be right back. Okay, so what I'm going to do just now is put just a little bit of concealer under my eyes here. I'm not going to put a ton, I don't need a ton, and I do have a light shade in my contour kit that I'm going to use, so I don't want to overwhelm underneath my eyes with product, because I mean it would just be silly, to be honest. And I'm just going to use my finger so that I actually get it where I want it to go, which is just under the eye here and just up here. Here I need it over here just a little bit. Okay, so now that I've done that, I am ready to go ahead and do my contour. I have not chosen a colour for in here because I am actually going to go ahead and use my highlight to do that today, because this is such a dark look that I need something to lighten it. I'm going to do something a bit different today, and I'm going to use my Anastasia Beverly Hills contour kit. This one's looking a bit more worn because it has travelled with me quite extensively, but this is the powder palette. Look how bad she looks, oh my gosh. So it's a light to medium, and I'm still going ahead and using the same brush I would normally use. Why did I say it like that? There are 3 darker shades in here. The middle shade is the coolest tone. The other 2 are actually quite warm. And Robert Welsh told me via his YouTube channel, not in person, that you're looking to do cooler tones because you're imitating shadow. He also would probably hate the way I apply contour, but that's not the point. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and start with this cooler tone. I've not used powder in a while, so please bear with me whilst I get into this. And just doing it so you can see it on camera as well. The thing I would say about powder is that it almost applies kind of like you're going to get it, so it's a bit harder to blend down, but also kind of prevents you from using a ton of excess product. What I've done wrong right now, and I keep doing it but only when I'm filming, is I have done my dark shades first. The reason I would say don't do your dark shades first is because when you are starting out with your dark shades, it is much easier to then accidentally blend that into your light shades, and it's easier to remove light than it is to remove the dark. So how I've done this, just to explain what I've done, is I've done down my nose and down the sides. Today I have cut it off a little to try and make it look slightly less long. I have followed the natural line on my face for underneath my cheekbones. Your face, it might be different, so you can play around with this, see where you think the shadows would naturally hit. And then I've done like a shadow ring. If I wasn't wearing eye makeup, then I also do the eye contour, and the only reason that I do that is because when you put on foundation it takes it away, so you kind of take away that natural sort of beautiful shadowing that you have. And I've got quite hooded eyes, so I'm going to go ahead and just sort of buff this into my skin. I generally try and buff up the way just because of the effect you're trying to get, but the reason that I kind of go side to side is so I can also make sure that I don't end up with any obnoxious lines. It is quite a common mistake. It's almost as though people think they're just doing their face for Instagram, and they end up with these really harsh lines on their face, and it's just not cute. It's just not cute in my personal opinion. Right now I kind of feel like I look like that skeleton in Lady Gaga video, but when you blend down, my contour is honestly exceptional. I've always been told that I'm really good at makeup, and I think the reason I'm told I'm really good at makeup is because I look so bad without it that when I put it on, people are like, oh my god, this catfish is amazing. I don't know if that's true, but I kind of feel it. I kind of feel like it is why. Okay, so I've done all of my dark shade, and I'm going to go ahead and add my light shade now. I decided to do it completely separately, but normally I would have the 2 on my face at the same time. I use one of these 2. This is a yellow undertone. I have tried it a couple of times, but my undertones are pink, so it kind of neutralizes the yellowy tone. So maybe it should be what I'm using, but I don't love the effect. The difference between these two is this one's got a bit of a sheen. So if my skin is feeling particularly dry, I use this one more. And this one is quite matte, so if my skin is feeling particularly oily, then I use this one more. At the moment, it's kind of in the middle, just to annoy me, but I'm going to go ahead and use the more matte one, just because generally, like, it has been more oily recently, and I don't want to accentuate that. Plus, I am going to be walking and it's sunny. So you can maybe see the impact of that almost straight away. See, I actually hate using this one in winter, because if I use this exact shade in winter, then my skin just looks so dry. In order to do the nose, I've only dipped the tip on what have I done? I used half the brush and I dipped the tip. That's what I did. My god, that was hard. I'm so sorry. And then when I'm doing the rest of the face, obviously I just put it wherever on the brush, because it doesn't really matter. I'm blending out. Powder contour is a little better, I find, if you have very oily skin. Using a cream contour, you are supposed to set that with powder, so I don't know, it's quite hard if you've got dry skin, but generally I would say a cream contour is going to be more compatible. Obviously I can't guarantee anything in every contour, like, they're not created equal. I'm just like, it's so funny because I'm like, I don't want to overly define the line, and then I'm like, define it. It's like I've got Satan in my ear. But yeah, so that is my contour done. The next thing that I'm going to go ahead and do usually is, if I want to warm this up, I'm going to use a little bit of bronzer. And that's actually what Robert Welsh says. I really feel like I'm bigging him up quite a bit just now. I am going to use one that I've not used before. It's an NYX bronzer, but it's actually a part of a kit. So I do not know the name of this shade, but it's the one I'm using. It really doesn't tell me anywhere. It's part of the Back to Basics makeup palette, Beauty School Dropout. And it is the darker of the two shades. I'm using a brush like this because it doesn't apply too harshly, and I find it a bit easier to blend out. And I'm not doing the full ring, but I am going to do the sides just to sort of warm up, especially because this is quite a brown look. I'm going to do a little bit on my nose, because I just want to look all glowy and healthy, and then I tend to buff out in circles when I'm doing this. It does make more sense to go up the way because you're trying to get like more of a lift, but because of how I've already applied the product, when I'm blending it, I really don't pay as much attention to the direction that I'm going. And the thing about bronzer is you should actually blend it in quite a bit with your blush. They two should be best friends. I'm going to go ahead and use these two from the same kit just now. I'm actually going to mix it a little because I find when I mix it, it looks a bit like NARS Orgasm, which I own, so I could just use NARS Orgasm, but I'm going to do that. So my highlight is going to sit just about here because that is the top of where my natural cheekbones sit. If you're creating cheekbones, and just think of where you would imagine that line would be. So my blush is going just beneath that, and I take it up and almost like a, I don't know, like a hockey stick on the side of my face, and I lift it up here like that. I have no idea why I do that. I don't know if that's weird, but I just like the effect. And I like blending that down just a bit. You don't want to go too far, especially if you've got a face like mine. Like, I'm a chubs, so if I put too much here, then I end up with like these really fat cheeks. Like, I look like a chipmunk, which again, it might be the aesthetic that you like, that sort of rosy apples of the cheeks, like very like maybe you don't mind the chubby, or maybe you've got really gaunt and like thin face and you're trying to add that, and if that's the case, like, do you, boo, like, you're fine. Do what you need to do to like suit your own face shape. Just for me, I tend to stop and it's like the eyeline, but I don't think about it, like I just do it. So I've put on a little too much product, it looks like, from you doing it in the camera. Oh no, she looks nice. I'd talk to her. Just blending it down just a little bit anyway, buffing off any extra that is just sitting on top of my skin so I don't end up with that like super dry look. And then I'm going to want to add my highlight. I really like how this is going. I'm a fan. For highlight, some people use brushes like this, like a bit smaller. I'm not entirely sure I have a brush that's like designed to do like the perfect highlight. I did have one that I was using in a previous video that I'd never used before, and it is this girl here. She is a triangle shape, and it means that I've got like a really good tip, but also the ability to sort of blend up as well. Am I going to be boring and just use this full kit to finish? Yeah, I am. I'm going to go ahead and use this exact same kit because I've shown you almost all of my other blushes anyway. And this is the one I'm going to use, the more brownie shade. I love a pink highlight. I know there are people like Soph Does Life. She doesn't like pinky ones too much. I like pinky, but because I don't have like too much colour in my face, like if I don't have a pink, then I just kind of look unwell. But because I've done as much as I have of the pink blush, like I'm good to just add a little gold and try and make it look a little luxe. And I'm starting from, did you notice, just about that same place, slightly further over, because the light wouldn't really hit right down, like cheekbones wouldn't sit like that. And I really only want it to be highlighting where I think the light would be falling. And that's not atting anyone who does more highlight than this. Like I actually think people do some really pretty things with it in a way that it's maybe not meant to be used. And I think it's stunning. So again, do whatever makes you happy. It's just makeup. Like, we're just trying to be cute. I love a gleam. I am going to put some on the tip of my nose and just up here. Can you see where I'm doing it? But I don't pull it right down because I don't want my nose to look super shiny. Like I'm not trying to look like I have oily skin. And because my forehead is a little dry today, just to mess with me, I'm just going to put a little across here. And what I tend to do then is just drag it a little bit above the brow. Like I know I did a bit underneath and that's where you normally put it, but just a little bit above the brow. And I am liking this effect for the time being. I definitely am keen to finish my eyes, and part of what I said I was going to do was actually go ahead and use my highlight. So I'm going to do that just now. I'm using the pigment packing brush. I wouldn't always do that, but this highlight is actually more subtle. So I wanted to pick up as much product as possible. If it's one that is a bit more stroby, you definitely do not need to use a pigment packing brush to do that. There are lots of other brushes that would then be better. But you see that? It's just really highlighting. I feel like this eye's not even showing it. That's better. Just highlighting just a little, and I'm going to just blend it down into the eye. Now once you're finished with your contour or whatever else, like I haven't needed to do it today, but if you end up with like a line, especially if you use a cream one, just go over again with your blending brush, like literally lightly, just to get more of like a smoky sort of gradient effect. I really don't need to do this, but I'm just going to do it to show you what I mean. And you're holding the brush like, I mean, you don't need to be that far away, like you can be down here, but you don't need like a ton of control. You're not trying to put a ton of pressure. You are just trying to give that more of a smoked out look. So the the closer you hold it to the tip, the more pressure you are applying. Just to explain what I mean by that. I'm just going to do that. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and start to do mascara now. I used this one for the first time yesterday. It's the Lacura Too Legit. It is a dupe of the Benefit mascara, so if you know it, they're real. And what I would say about this is, although it doesn't have the same immediate impact, it builds really nicely. The formula feels the same, the brush looks the same, obviously the bottle's an imitation. So I do think that it is quite a good dupe. And I've actually done something wrong here because I've started to put on my mascara, but I'm pretty sure that I'm going to want to wear eyeliner just to define my eyes more. Maybe I'll not though. Maybe I'll I'll just continue with this just now because I've started it, but doing eyeliner first is always beneficial, especially when it's a mascara that dries like this one does, because if it dries really well, then you get the eyeliner in it, then it's really, really difficult to fix it and have it look nice. So yeah, definitely note the order, especially if you're using mascara like this, and it does dry quite quickly as well. But maybe I wouldn't want liner because I've not taken that brighter brown up maybe as far as I would need to if I wanted to do a liner, but I could still do a little triangle. Just showing you this, like my little spider's leg eyes. I prefer just to wear mascara rather than finishing every look with lashes. Not only because lashes are expensive and I'm not going anywhere, like I'm going to Home Bargains probably, but just because like I have these beautiful long lashes, like why would I want to keep putting like glue and then it pulls out like little lashes, and I find that like my eyes do not thank me if I wear lashes all the time. I guess like again, everyone's different, so if you have lashes that can like withstand the test of time, then like go ahead, put lashes on every day. Like I'm really not trying to be judgmental. It's just that for me, I notice such a big fallout, and then I can end up like gaps in my lashes, and then I'm almost self-conscious not wearing them, and it's just such a vicious cycle for me. Oh yeah, I love that. I would never have done this look. Like I'm kind of gassed at myself for just like playing around a bit more. I'm going to go ahead and make these two friends and not make you watch me put on more mascara, and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is where I'm at. I take my hair obviously out of the plaits. I put on my lips. It is the Glitter Flip by the name I can't say, Ciate. Kate. I don't know. Sounds like I'm saying Kate in a northern accent. But it's in shade Valentine and it's a glitter flip. And I love glitter. I feel like if you've watched any of my videos before, you probably know this. But like, I'm going to just do it because I'm obsessed. The thing that I really love about this is because like it's this beautiful matte shade. Kind of rosy. It's a pretty, pretty colour. And then, look at that glitter. I just love glitter. I just love it, and it's such like, again, it's not changed the tone of the lipstick. It kind of gives it that iridescence that kind of makes it look like I'm maybe wearing lip gloss, bigger lips type vibes, and it's just fun. And that's why I like makeup. But yeah, so this is a finished look anyway. I hope that you like it and that you don't mind that I just like babble on and play and like see what's gonna happen in my life. And I know no one asked, but like I would actually really recommend this particular palette. I'll show you it a bit more, so apologies because mine is so messy, but it comes with this little mirror in the front, talks to you about like a day versus night looks, which is kind of cute. And then if I bend that back, and then you've got, so this is a part of the palette you've seen already. These are 3 blushes. This is 2 highlights, and this is meant to help you with your contouring, but it is 2 bronzer shades. I would call it bronzer shade, they call it contour. And then you have all of these. So this is just different shades that you can use to create everyday looks. As you can see, like I'm a bit of a fan of these 2 shimmery shades. I'll just kind of show you, kind of in line with what I would do anyway. Not a great swatch, to be honest, so like the color isn't super strong, but if you're carrying your setting spray, like a little setting spray with you, then obviously those colors will come out stronger in your eyes anyway. And then if I take one that is going to be a bit more pigmented, yeah, look at that, just gorgeous. So it's such a nice combination of colors. You can do all kinds of different looks. You can be really like basic day to night type vibes. So yeah, highly recommend this palette if you can get a hold of it. I'm not sure if they actually do them anymore, so sorry if I'm recommending something that doesn't even exist. But I got it when I was living in Canada because I realized I didn't have all of my makeup with me, and when I was going traveling, I'm like having to carry like this big bag because everything I had was in these huge sizes, which is great for your room because obviously economics, like it lasts longer, etc. Hopefully it doesn't expire before you're done using it. But with that, it's just like a one-stop shop. So yeah. But yeah. I've obviously just dyed my hair again, so like it feels like it's super bright, which is overwhelming me slightly. But I like the overall aesthetic. and I like that you're here and that you've listened and watched this and done makeup along with me, hopefully. If you like it, give me a thumbs up below, give me a comment, and hit subscribe, most importantly, if you haven't already. Any comments, questions, suggestions, things you'd like to see me do, please let me know. But yeah, thanks very much. Have a nice day.